Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of the Dental Marketing Secrets Podcast, where we provide actionable tips and tactics that you can take and apply immediately to grow your practice, to serve more patients, and to leave a greater impact and ultimately lead a better life. I mean, that's really what this is all about. My name is Mark Thackeray, and as always, I am honored to be here with you, however you may be listening, on another fine December day. As I look outside, does not look so fine. I live in Salt Lake City, and it is inversion right now. So down in the valley, it's all smoggy and hazy. But if you were to go, 6-7 miles, if I were to go due east 6-7 miles up Little Cottonwood Canyon and go right up to Snowbird Resort or Alta Resort, it would be clear skies. It would be a bluebird day. So we have some of these in Salt Lake, unfortunately. So hopefully your weather outlook is not quite so smoggy as mine is as I look out the window. But it is still a great day in the middle of December right now as I'm recording this. And I'm excited to share this topic. And it was something that came up as I met with a dentist recently. So he just acquired a practice and wanted to know what he needed to do to take it to the next level. By all accounts, it was a successful practice prior, but now that he's here, he wants to elevate that and grow that even more. And he just wanted to know, what do I need to do? Right? And that's a question a lot of us ask. It's just, okay, I don't need to know everything. Just tell me what I need to do. And it's funny because I had this conversation a few weeks ago. I was like, oh, I need to speak about that, right? I should do an episode on that. And then just last night, my wife came to me with a nearly identical question. She's starting an integrative nutrition coaching program to help moms prioritize their health. And she asked me a number of questions on how to get it started. And so that's really the impetus behind this particular episode is to create what I've dubbed the marketing startup guide. Okay. So this is, if you are an existing practice and just haven't got into marketing and are looking to get into marketing, or you just acquired a new practice or will be acquiring a new practice, this will be a great resource for you. Okay. So what is your marketing startup guide? Well, in essence, this is a series of action items to launch a marketing strategy for your practice. Okay. So this is designed to help provide you a clear roadmap to get you off the ground and running so that you can start right away. You're not wasting time. You don't miss a beat. And it's also it's an effective tool to evaluate your current marketing efforts, to identify any low hanging fruit or areas of opportunity that you might be missing or overlooking. Okay. And then last it's a checklist of sorts, it's kind of reference point to go back and say, do I have all these basics covered? You don't want to let some of these things fall through the cracks because these things are major. I could have gone so many different ways, and I actually have couple pages of different notes in different possible directions, different marketing efforts, campaigns, things like that could have made this. But I tried to pare this down to the most basic and the most fundamental and important. Okay, so we're going to go through theirs. I have 5 of them during this episode. And to start, number 1 is a topic that you've heard me, if you've listened to the show, is something I preach about quite a bit, but it's so important. And I'll give you an example here in just a second. But number 1 is start with your ideal audience. Who are you going to serve? Okay. And when you're doing this exercise, I want you to avoid broad segments. Okay. There's a lot of people, when I ask that question, first thing out of their mouth is anyone who has teeth. And it makes me cringe, right? Because not everyone who has teeth is a good patient for you. They're not a good fit for your practice, a good fit for your skill set, a good fit for your personality even. So I need you to think deeper than that. Think instead of what type of person you can deliver the best results for time and time again. Who are those people that you get fired up to work with, right? So let me give you an example. So last night I mentioned I was talking with my wife. She was asking me questions about her integrative nutrition coaching practice. And she said, I asked her, okay, well, who do you want to target? Like, who are you going to help? Who's that audience? And she said, moms. And that's all she said. And I was like, okay, that's like next to females and males. Like, that's like one of the broadest segments there is. Now, I didn't say that, but I said, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper than that. And so I doubled down and asked her, but which type of mom can you truly help? Which type of mom can you literally transform their life? And she started to see, as I kept asking follow-up questions to this, she started to see that there are specific characteristics of these people that would qualify them as an ideal client. You know, things like, in her case, it was that a mom who was consistently exercising, you know, a couple of times a week. Like, they don't need to be sold on the fitness side of nutrition because they're already doing that, right? Because someone who isn't even doing that, like, that's not her. That's not what she's doing as far as her. That's not what she's coaching about. And that's not part of her forte. You know, I mean, you want someone who's already to that next step, right? And another thing was just their attitude towards themselves. That are they willing? Do they have what's called a growth mindset? Are they willing to try new things? Are they willing to make mistakes? What do they do when they have a setback? Do they get back on the horse, or are they in a rut for a long time? You know, it's identifying these key characteristics that help you really define that ideal client profile, and consequently speak to that person in a way that's going to resonate with them. Because if you just leave it blank, anyone who has teeth, moms, these huge generic categories, you know, you can't speak to that person very specifically. You know, you have to be generic in your approach, in your communication, in order to fit that whole category, right? But when you narrow it down and say, hey, I know, in the example of my wife, it's like, I know that you have in your past, you have prioritized everyone else's schedule, everyone else's priorities above your own. And as a result, it's damaged your health. Like, you are not feeling like you should. And it's actually a danger to you and your family. You know, when you think about it, if you're not able to take care of your health, then you're not able to take care of your family. And you're not do all these things, right? I mean, so you have that ability to speak to them on a much more personal level, and it builds instant credibility, right? The more detailed you get, the easier it will be down the road to create marketing messages that just resonate with that specific audience. It just sings to them, right? And so for a dental practice, that could look something like this. You know, we do our very best work for established families that want a comfortable dental experience. These are people with very busy schedules, so convenience and ease of scheduling is paramount. They value the relationship we've established and trust that our recommendations are exactly what we'd suggest to a family member. You know, conservative dentistry for the modern family. Something like that, where you can point back to this. You know, people can read that and start to get an idea of what your purpose is. And then you can build that out, right? I mean, you can elaborate on each of those things. So this is the first step, right? Is determining who you're going to serve. And what's so cool about this, you know, once you do this, and yes, it is a little daunting because you're like, oh, I just wish it was easier. And this just takes a little bit of time, right? But once you get going, it is very empowering because it clearly outlines how you're going to differentiate yourself to your patients and even among your competition. You know, the vast majority of dentists out there are not going to do this. So if you do this, you're going to be way ahead of the game, and you're going to, like I said, it's going to make everything easier down the road when it comes to putting together an actual ad campaign or some type of a marketing campaign to drive new patients or to generate referrals. Okay. Another thing this does is it identifies key focal points that you can highlight and emphasize. For example, it could be the word comfortable. You know, we make your experience comfortable and relaxing through the following 6 ways. You know, it pinpoints ways that you can differentiate yourself. It pinpoints these opportunities that you have to dive deeper on a specific topic that's important to your ideal audience, right? So if comfort, not being stressed, not being anxious, what can you do to help facilitate that comfort, to help raise the comfort level when they're sitting in the chair? Is it providing them with headphones and music so they're not hearing the sounds like they normally are? Is it, is there a scent that you can do to hopefully overcome some of that dental smell that we've all become familiar with, but patients don't necessarily love, right? What are those ways that you can make them more relaxed? What's also cool is that it helps you establish a set of boundaries of who you're going to serve and who you're not going to serve. And don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that, hey, I'm only and exclusively going to serve these type of patients, and I won't even look at those other ones. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that you're not going out of your way to attract those other types of patients. Okay. If they come in and you want to do it, that's your prerogative. You can totally do that. But your focus is going to be, your marketing efforts are going to be in attracting this type of patient. Okay. So that is step one. Okay. So that is knowing, identifying your ideal audience. Step two, this one's going to be much easier. Okay. So we've got the big one out of the way. Step two is claiming or filling out your Google Business Profile. Okay. So you have a practice, if it's an existing practice, chances are you already have a Google Business Profile. You might need to claim it. I'm still surprised at how many practices have not claimed their Google Business Profile in today's world. And here's why that's so important is when you have access to it, you can optimize it. You can make changes that better reflect, again, the type of person that you're trying to attract. And all this helps with your SEO rankings. Google, just to give you some context, Google is like the lion among all these newborn kittens in the search engine world. They claim 85 to 90% of all global searches in 2022, according to the recent stats that I just read. They were dominant, right? Almost 9 out of 10 searches are done on Google across the globe. Okay. So the more you can play by its rules, the better chance you have at showing up against your competition in your area. Okay. So and what's so interesting too, and I was talking to my wife about this as well last night, is that her service area is much broader, right? It's going to be a national service area, whereas your practice is going to be likely the 10-mile radius within your practice address. Okay, that's where the majority of your patients will come from. Certainly there will become those that come from outside of that, but the lion's share is going to come within 10 miles, a 10-mile radius of your practice. Okay, and that's where Google Business Profile comes into play. It's such a big determining factor in how often you show up for those types of searches in your areas, for dentist near me or dentist 84093 or whatever your zip code is, or Invisalign near me. All those keywords, your Google, especially if they're searching on the map section, then your Google Business Profile has a massive influence on that. And if you don't have one, or if you've not claimed it, or you haven't optimized it, you are flat out missing traffic. You're missing potential patients. Period. Full stop, right? And it's an easy process too. So if you haven't, let me walk you through that. If you haven't claimed your business profile, have not created one, then it's pretty simple. You can just type create Google Business Profile in a search bar, and it'll pull up the Google Doc or the Google Help section. And just walk you through the process. It's super easy. It takes you about 5 to 10 minutes to create your listing. And if you need to claim your listing, all you have to do is go into Google Maps and then type the name of your practice. And then once it shows up, there's a little button that's going to be below it that says claim this business. And that will initiate the process. Just follow the steps and you will have claimed your listing within 5 to 10 minutes. It's really simple, really simple. But once you have access to your listing, there are some things you're going to need to do in order to fully optimize it so that you will increase your visibility on Google. This includes things like choosing the right primary category and then adding secondary categories as well. And you're going to have, everything from your business hours to a description of your practice to details of services that you provide, photos and things like that. So it's one of those things that it's not very hard to do, but I'm just kind of baffled why there are so many practices that haven't done it, and I meet with them and I see, oh, okay, step one, let me show you how to do this, or let's do this for you. Let's make sure you're capturing more of this traffic that's going, all these searches that are being performed and you're missing out, but it's an easy fix. We're going to claim it. We're going to optimize it. We're going to add photos. We're going to list out services, and we just want to make sure that it's complete. We want to fill that profile out, flesh it out. And it doesn't take that much time, like I mentioned. And then once you have, and most of these things, it's really great. There's things that you can do ongoing to help with the conversion aspect of it. Things like there's a Q&A section. You can fill out question and answers, commonly asked questions to help people get some information and educate themselves and stay on your listing longer, which increases your chances of conversion. There are other things that you can do, Google business profile posts, to help, again, kind of attract people there. They're not necessarily ranking factors, but they do help with conversion. So there's ongoing things that you need to do there. But some of these basics, primary category, secondary category, hours, adding some photos. You do want to keep adding photos because that is one thing that can help with conversions too. But the basic information about your business is a one-time thing, unless you have an update to maybe you've changed the hours on Thursday or Friday or something like that. But that's, again, a very quick fix. In addition to this, I have a 2B. Okay, so 2A is filling out your Google Business Profile. 2B is start getting Google reviews. And the reason this is 2B is because this goes hand in hand with your Google Business Profile. Google reviews are a big ranking factor for local SEO. They look at, there's three things that they look at too with reviews. One is your overall rating score. So if you're a 4.9 out of 5, right? That's your average score. And it's not always mission critical that you have like a 5-star or a 4.9, or I think they've kind of hinted at it. It's, if you're above like a 4, then that's fine. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be a 4.6 or 4.7 or higher than that. But they want to see it, obviously a good rating score. But then the other two factors are the quantity of reviews. And this is also a little bit subjective because it depends too on your competition. So if you have 6 reviews and your competition has 1,300, then yeah, you're out of whack. You're trying to get closer to your competition. You don't have to have the same amount to still show up, like on the map section or something, or the local pack. But it is important too, the quantity. So you want to keep adding to those. The other thing is the recency of reviews. And this is one that most people don't realize, is that it's not the best practice to stockpile reviews. They don't want to see just a huge spike and they generated 100 reviews and then they don't get a review for 6 years, right? It doesn't work that way. They want to see continual reviews being added, because that's a signal back to Google that, hey, there's people that are going, there's people behind this, right? People are going to this place. It's almost like, I like to think of it as kind of what's trending now type of signal that Google sees, that, hey, there's these people that are going there and they're leaving these good reviews. Like, that's what's hot, right? I mean, and that's what Google wants to deliver. They want to deliver a good experience for the user based on their search. So they look at overall rating score for your review, your quantity of reviews, and then your recency of reviews. So my point with this is start asking for reviews today. You need to build this into your in-office processes. The earlier start, the better off you'll be. Both mentally and with SEO wise, because the longer you wait, the more of a challenge I've seen with team members in asking for reviews. It's really not a big deal, and patients aren't going to be upset or offended that you ask for a review, even if they say no. That's not like they're never going to talk to you again or anything like that. But sometimes we build up these mental blocks like that, and they're just not accurate. So be free in asking, and you're going to get more reviews. And what's so cool too is that they're such a good feedback mechanism. for the good and the bad, right? I mean, it helps to reinforce those things that you are doing very well as a practice, but it also helps to identify and uncover those opportunity areas that need some attention. Okay, to help make your practice even better. That's what this is all about, is taking that feedback and making your practice even better. And what's cool too is that you can use those reviews as social proof in other marketing collateral. So it's a very effective conversion tool later on. You can use it on your website. You can use it on printed, a brochure, for example. So many different ways you can utilize those. So that's 2A and 2B. All right, number 3, build out your website. The next step is to create your website. And if you are acquiring a practice, then you'll likely inherit a website with this. And at that point, you'll need to make a decision. Do you keep it and update it, or do you scrap it and start afresh? And if it were me, I would look into your current SEO rankings, have a review, an audit performed so that you can uncover where you're ranking for your targeted keywords. Are you ranking high? Are you ranking low? And then that's going to give you some idea if you should keep that content the way it is, or if it's time to just start anew. So if you're currently ranking high, I would just keep it and I would just update it. If not, then it's still your choice, right? But that's what I would do before you make a decision on that. Now with your website, here's the thing. You want to differentiate it. You want to make sure that it's standing out to the right people. It should be a refreshing light from heaven moment, basically. And I picture it like where they see your website and all of a sudden they're, oh man, hallelujah. Like it's just the lights coming through the window and they're like, oh, just because it's resonating so well. And it might not be, obviously, there's probably not going to be that that outpouring of emotion, but I want it to pique their interest enough that they recognize that you as the provider understand what they're going through. You understand the challenges, their issues, their goals even. It is game changing when you do that because it builds instant rapport. If you've ever met someone who, let's say you open up in conversation, you're at an event or whatever, and they're like, oh, I totally get you. I did this, this, and this, and I was in the exact same spot, and it feels like this, and it feels like that, and the result was this. And you're like, wait, that's exactly how I'm feeling right now. And it builds instant credibility if you've ever experienced that moment. And that's what you're trying to do with this. That's what your website should do when it's built properly and when you've taken the time to unearth who that ideal patient is and really flesh out that profile. What's cool about it too is that consider your website like this is your own private corner on the worldwide internet. It should be your place, right? It should be unique and not just look like all the other dentists in your area, or you could just swap out the name, and it's funny because when I do audits for dentists, and I do these quite a bit, there's so many of them, I could just swap out the logo and the practice name and it would look almost identical. Like we're all kind of saying the same things, right? We all kind of do the same things, and maybe you've even thought that. And that's been a stumbling block for you when it comes to marketing. It's like, well, how do I differentiate myself when we're all essentially providing the same services? But what I want you to think about is, again, go back to that first step of identifying your client profile. Because once you do that, it helps you to recognize that the way you approach it is going to be different than the dentist down the street. Just because of your unique experiences, your personality, and your practice, the team members surrounding you, all that is it creates a different approach. So yes, maybe it might be the same dental veneer treatment, but the whole experience is going to be different, right? And I want you to dial in and really drill down on that stuff, on what makes it different. And that's what needs to show up on your website. Don't just copy what the dentist down the road is doing. That's what most people do. They fall into that copycat temptation and just try and tweak it just a little bit, right? Don't do that. Be interesting, be bold, be you, and spell it out in plain English, what you're all about and the type of patient you're the best fit for. And if you want to go the extra mile, like for extra oomph, You can even describe who is not a good fit for your practice, because this is going to help disqualify those patients before they waste your time, energy, and even your mental health. That's a bold move, and most people are probably not going to do it. But if you don't, how do I say this? If you don't want to put it on your website, I suggest you at least write that out, because it's so important to have boundaries. And again, I'm not saying that you don't ever treat those type of people. I'm just saying that you don't spend your marketing efforts and investment to attract those types of people. Okay. So, and when we're talking about website too, I did create a little list of, common components to an effective website. And most of you would, figure this out on your own. It's not that hard, but you want specific pages for each treatment so that you can go in detail on that. You want to answer some frequently asked questions on those, help people to see the transformation. You want to, hook them in emotionally. And a good way to do that is to see kind of the before and after and provide some context of what the situation was when the patient came in. You want to agitate that problem a little bit and then show the result. So specific pages for each treatment, an About Us page that provides good background information on you as the provider, team members. And what's so cool about the About Us page, this is actually one of the most popular pages on your whole website. Lots of people like to go click on the About Us page and just read about people, because we want to know who we're dealing with. We have so many options nowadays that this is what we've become to. It's not just, well, are they a good dentist? It's now, well, are they a good dentist? And are they, maybe they're Packers fans, or, we can almost be that specific. But we love to read about people who are just like us, that have common interests, and it creates that rapport and likability. So don't just stop at a quick 4-line bio and call it good. I would share personal interests and hobbies. I would talk about my family. I'd talk about personal goals. The more you can share, the more you're okay sharing, right? Obviously I'm not pushing you to share anything that you don't want to share, but the more opportunities or the more details that you provide, it creates more opportunities for them to find those common interests and to feel like, oh yeah, we know, we like to deal with people that we know, like, and trust. And that's one way we build that likability factor. So that's the About Us page. Contact Us page, pretty basic, straightforward, easy way to contact you. Gallery page, provide visual proof that you actually do know what you're doing. People love to look at these, right? They're before and after pictures. And like I mentioned before, when you're doing these, include the context. Provide a brief description of what was going on, why it was a problem. And again, if you can, agitate that problem a little bit, not just the clinical side, and saying, well, really it was an overbite that was caused by this, and this, but what's the emotional part, the emotional repercussion or consequence of this situation? And just say, well, as a result, she never felt confident about her smile. She would constantly, her natural reaction would be to cover her mouth with her hand, and didn't feel confident in public speaking out, felt like she never could be herself at work. And so she was passed over for promotions, things like that. I mean, that's emotional. That's like the hook, that's the story that people love to read, because they see themselves in that story too. You say, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't have a crossbite, but I know what that feels like. I know what not getting picked for the team is, or just knowing that I know the right answer and not speaking up because I'm shy or I'm scared. People get that. So that's a little tidbit there to make your pages more effective, your gallery pages more effective. But here's a few other recommendations that I would make for your website. One, on the homepage, create what I call, or what's been called, unique selling proposition, or a unique value proposition. This is basically how you differentiate yourself. Why should anyone come to you when they have all these other options? Who are, again, it kind of targets that ideal client that you're trying to reach, and provide some specificity of why they should pick you. And I would add this to the homepage of your site. I would refer back to this throughout the content on your pages, because it adds memorability and it adds differentiation. Okay, so here's an example of one. Patient-centered dentistry. where old school integrity meets the convenience and comfort of modern technology. I'll read that one more time. Patient-centered dentistry, where old school integrity meets the convenience and comfort of modern technology. And their whole goal was to help people see that, hey, we have all the modern tools, but we're not like a lot of the modern offices that are just all about volume, trying to get you in, get you out, take a number, don't have time, and we're pushing treatment on you, right? This is where everything's focused around you and your experience, where we're not going to do anything that's out of your comfort zone. We wouldn't do anything that would go against, that would come across as pushy, We're very conservative, things like that. So that's what I do, create a unique selling proposition. Again, that takes a little bit of time to really dial it in, and it's probably something that will evolve a little bit over time, but it's a great way to really set the tone right off the bat. When people land on your page and they read that, they're like, oh, I've never seen that before, or I've never read that before for a dental practice. That's when you're onto something. Next thing I would recommend is include patient testimonials. And most do, but I would provide sprinkle these all throughout your pages. So if you're on dental veneers, for example, going back to that example, I would include testimonials from patients who had veneers done. Make it specific to what you're already talking about, and then just use those throughout. You doesn't need to be a page of reviews, but just you can have a couple, right? And make them specific to that treatment and providing specific details too. Like, well, I was really nervous. I like the ones too that said, well, I just was so skeptical, because it adds that element of believability that sometimes you don't get with testimonials. Some testimonials sound just too good to be like, oh, this was amazing! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. There's nothing better, and it's like, oh, it's probably a friend or a mom or something like that. But this one, it adds that shred of skepticism, and we can all relate to that, where it almost sounds too good to be true, but they address that and then show the outcome, right? So sprinkle those patient testimonials throughout their site. So those are two extra recommendations I would have when you're thinking about building a website or creating a new website. All right, number 4, and this one is in connection with your website. I would create and install Google Analytics on your site. Here's why. Okay, so Google Analytics is a tool that helps you evaluate and keep a pulse on your web traffic. So any website visitors that stop on your site, it captures details about them. It doesn't capture name and email and phone number, stuff like that. But what it does capture are things like the general age, location, gender, even. And so you can look at those demographics, and it can help you determine, am I reaching the right traffic, basically, and if you're running campaigns, it also helps you see, is this a good fit? Are these, so if you look at traffic sources, which is one of the things that you can look at in Google Analytics, what sources are driving people to your site? Are they organic in nature? Your SEO that you've been working on, your local SEO, Google Business Profile, things like that, your different listings, or is it paid advertisements? That could be from Facebook ads. It could be from Google ads. Is it through social media, like organic social media, just posting on Instagram? Or is it from referrals or direct traffic? So it helps you identify where you're getting that traffic. And that's huge, right? If you recognize, hey, I'm getting most of my traffic from this particular blog post on Invisalign, man, that's something that resonates with this audience. What else can I put out that's in line with that to keep them engaged or to move them one step closer to making an appointment, right? So these are all clues that you can unearth through Google Analytics. There's other things like bounce rate is a good one too. Bounce rate indicates the percentage of visitors that navigate away from your site after only viewing one page. So they come, they land on the page, they're like, I'm out. That's a bounce technically. And it measures it in a percentage format. So you can see, okay, and that's what's cool too, is you take that and you, let's say you filter it by the page and you filter it by your traffic source, and you can see, wow, man, this this campaign, maybe you're running a Facebook ad campaign, this campaign to this page, it is not a good fit. Either the content's not right or we're targeting the wrong audience. Okay. So it's again, it gives you these clues that can help you solve the puzzle of why people aren't converting more, Plus it also helps you track, Google Analytics helps you track conversions, phone calls, web forms submitted, things like that. And you can, again, evaluate that and see which of your marketing efforts are actually driving those conversions. Are they coming from Google Ads? Maybe they're coming from Google Business Profile and your organic listings, or maybe it's from social media. These are all great insights to have, because then you can double down on those or identify ways that you can improve or repair other campaigns. So that's number 4. The last one, and then we'll finish up, is create a referral program. And it's funny because when I talk about referrals, or everyone's always like, okay, referrals are the best. I know, we love referrals. Word of mouth is the best. That's where we get most of our patients. But then I ask, well, okay, cool. What are you doing to get more referrals? And most people are like, do good work. Sometimes we'll write a thank you card. It's this very passive approach is my point, is that they recognize the value of referrals, that they are the best of the best. They're kind of the creme de la creme, right, of new patients. But they're not doing anything to generate those, to stimulate those referrals, or to orchestrate new referrals from their patients. Okay. So, but if you're not sure about referrals, like one of the things that I love to talk about is creating a referral program. And the reason why is because, and you guys all probably know this, but they're much more likely to convert into new patients. They negotiate less. They have a greater amount of trust in you and your abilities. They tend to accept more treatment more easily and more often. And they tend to refer more people to you in your practice. They cost less to acquire. They typically remain patients longer. All these are reasons to create a referral program. It's to try and get as many referrals as you can, right? Because they're so much better than any other type of lead that you can generate from marketing means, right? But how do you do this, right? How do you go from this very passive hope and pray that I get a referral type mentality to an active, I'm going to help drive referrals mentality or approach? And there's a lot of steps to this, admittedly. But it's worth it, right? This is the work that we do to get the gold, right? These are the gold patients. So there's work to be involved, but I promise you it's worth it. And if you're interested and really want to take this seriously, I have a training on creating a referral program that you can purchase that goes in depth on the process with examples and exercises and details. So just let me know if you're interested in that, and I could send you the link. But here's a quick overview. Have something worth talking about. So you want to do something different enough that it's easy for people to share, right? Because that's why we like to share things. We don't say, oh, I went to this really normal average dentist the other day. People don't even talk about that, right? It's not even worth their time. It's the novelty. It's being unique. It's like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what my dentist did. And people are like, whoa, what? My dentist doesn't do anything out of the ordinary, So it's have something worth talking about. And sometimes that is just going above and beyond. Sometimes it's really providing a unique service or being really dialed into that that ideal patient audience. That's a good one too. And then plant what I call referral seeds. Okay. So as soon as someone comes in for their first new patient visit, you talk about referrals, and say a lot of our patients are coming by referrals, which we love because it's so fun to get to know friends and family. And it's such an honor to treat people however you want to word that, but you're planting that first referral seed, one, that we accept referrals, we're accepting new patients, and two, that we love referrals and we take really good care of them. Okay. So you want to plant that seed right off the bat. And then in each appointment too, you can provide them with a referral card and just say, just doesn't have to be a long thing, but it's, hey, we really appreciate referrals. So if you know anyone who's had a bad dental experience, or again, kind of speak to that ideal client profile, if you know of, let's say a family that's wants a more conservative type approach to dentistry, or wants to be very comfortable, was very anxious in the past with previous dentists, but they want to try again, we'd love to see them. So you can provide a referral card, something like that at each appointment. And then we have a monthly email that goes out to patients. It's kind of a newsletter of sorts, but in that newsletter, it's not just all about referrals, but it does have a section in there that highlights those people that did refer. And so it just shows their first name, but again, it's that recognition. That's half the reward, right? I mean, that's most of the reward for a lot of us. It's the reason why we love giving recommendations, for a new restaurant or a new program or activity, or, so when people come back and they say, "Oh man, Mark, dude, that place was amazing. Thank you." That feels amazing, right? I mean, you feel like you're on cloud nine, right? Because you made them, it was because of you that they had that tremendous experience. So that recognition is a big part of it. And we do that by highlighting those that referred every single month in an email newsletter. And again, it's planting those referral seeds. It's showing people that, hey, we love referrals. You're going to get recognized for it, things like that. Another thing is creating a specific new patient offer that's exclusive for referrals. Like, it's only used exclusively for referrals. This provides an extra incentive to come in and try your office out. It's another one of those things that you can talk about. You can remind people about, and it's something worth sharing for a lot of people, right? If it's done right. And then traditional ways, handwritten card, shout out, maybe on the in-office on a board or something like that, a thank you gift, things like that. So there's lots of different ways to do it. I just gave you a few different ideas to help you get started. But referrals are massive. And you want to start that off as soon as possible. Again, it's kind of like asking for reviews. This really should be integrated into all your in-office processes, so that you're able to ask without hesitation and ask at the right times, and then you have a system for following up too, so that it's not just, oh, I was going to send out those thank you cards, but now it's 3 months. That was 3 months ago. They're probably not even going to remember. You want to have some system in place so that that it gets done, the follow-up, the recognition, the rewards, things like that. So, all right, there you go, my friends. 5 action items that will help launch your marketing strategy and drive your efforts forward in the right direction. 5 big ones, really more like 7, because I had 2A and 2B, and then a website 4A and 4B. So, or 3A, 3. So yeah, there's a couple in. Anyway, we'll stick with 5. It's a nice number, easy to remember. But if you'd like some help with any of these efforts, contact me via email at mark@markthackeray.com. Again, that's mark@markthackeray.com. I will have that listed in the podcast description. I love working with practices. I love showing them what's possible. Love helping them elevate their marketing game, drive more patients, make it easier for them. Again, email me at mark@markthackeray.com, and we can set up a time to talk more. And until then, my friends, I hope you have a great night. And hopefully it's not as foggy as it is here. We'll see you next time.